Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. We are in week a billion. No, I'm just kidding. So, this week we are going to continue doing our rational numbers, operations with rational numbers. What I'd like us to focus on for this week is multiplying and dividing the negative numbers, whether it's whole numbers, fractions, and mixed numbers. We're also going to look at order of operations. So hopefully you still kind of remember what we did from last week and from what we did in quarter two. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. So when you are multiplying and dividing rational numbers, for multiplication, you need to multiply the digits as usual, and you're going to ignore the decimal point. So we talked about that last week. And then you're going to look at the product, which is your answer, and it's going to have the same number of places behind the decimal as the multiplicand and the multiplier, which are the two numbers that you're multiplying, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple examples just like we did last week. This video is probably going to be a little bit shorter because this is a review from last week for the whole numbers. And for the decimals, what I really want to focus on is the fractions. The fractions I'm going to do on a different video because that one needs to be a little bit longer, because we also need to do not just regular fractions, but we need to do mixed number fractions, okay? So let's start with example 1. So we're going to do 15 and 6/10 negative times -2. Okay? Remember what we said, a negative times a negative is a positive, so we know our answer is going to end up being a positive number. When I see this, generally you would want to lay it out the normal way. Now you can do it this way and say this times this will give me something, and then that can look confusing. So we're going to set it up as we would normally see a multiplication problem. Okay? So then I'm going to do 6 times 2, which is 12. I bring down my 2, carry my 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. How many decimal points do I have? Decimal places do I have? I have 1. So I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to bring that 1, I'm going to bring it right here. So you remember this one? The decimal point went from here to there, 1 space. So my answer is 31 2/10. Not 31.2. Remember, we talked about that. 31 2/10. Now, why did I not put a negative number on there? Because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. Positive 31 2/10. Let's try it with division. So we need to do a long division problem. And I'm going to do 4 and 32 hundredths, divided by 1 and 2/10. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it. Remember, the first number goes in the house. And the second number goes outside the house. First number in, second number out. So when you're dividing like this, you're going to ignore the decimal point. So it's almost like I'm doing this, 432 divided by 12. This is what we're looking at. We're still keeping the decimal, but we're going to pretend that we don't see the decimal so that we can just do our calculations and then add the decimal at the end. So how many times can 12 go into 43? 12 into 43. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait a minute. 12 times 4 is 48. We went over, so we can't do 48, which means we can't do 12 times 4, but we can do 12 times 3. So I'm not going to put it above the 4 because I didn't do 12 divided by 4. I did 12 divided by 43. So I put the 3 here. 3 times 12 is 36. 43 minus 36. Well, 3, I cannot take 6 from 3, so I have to give it 13, which reduces that to from 4 to 3. 13 minus 6 is a 7. I bring down my 2, and I do it again. 12 divided by 72. 12 can go into 72 6 times. So 6 times 12, 72. I have no remainder. Now I take my decimal and I bring my decimal back in. Okay? That's how you solve one like this, for the answer to be 3 6/10. Oops. Okay? Now they are both positive, so a positive times a positive. You already know what that is. A positive times a positive stays a positive. Same sign. The product or the quotient is positive. When we talk about the word product and we talk about the word quotient, a product is your answer from multiplying. So when I speak of the word product, this is my answer when I multiply. And when I speak of a quotient, that is my answer when I divide. That's the difference. That's those words. So these are our academic words. So if we were at school and we have our word wall, these 2 words would be on our word wall with an example, because these are words you need to understand and you need to know what they mean. The product is the answer when I multiply, and the quotient is the answer when I divide. You need to know what these words mean, okay? So on the next video, so that's decimals. Whole numbers, you're gonna do them the exact same way. Whole numbers, most of your whole numbers you should already know, up to 12, you should already know. You're going to look at dividing them the same way you're gonna look at multiplying and dividing your whole numbers the same way you would multiply and divide your decimals. The only difference is you are not moving any decimal or adding any decimal with whole numbers because it doesn't need one. You're only moving the decimal when you see it. Those 2 types of problems, operations, you look at the same way for those types of rational numbers, okay? In the next video, we are going to get into fractions and mixed numbers. So make sure that you watch this video first. Go attempt the practice and the assessment and the quiz, because this time it's quiz. I think it's quiz 1 and quiz 2. And then you're gonna come back to the next video to do the fractions. Please don't try to do it all at one time, okay? And I'll see you guys in the next video.